There's a huge race for Senate, and it's come down to two candidates that are good, and the people in Nebraska need to decide. But none of these states really just affect those states. Because of Woodrow Wilson, the Senate now affects all of us, and they are no longer just about their states. It would have been nice to have that. That's the way the founders intended it, but Woodrow Wilson had it changed. Now we have to pay attention, and we've been trying to introduce the Senate and congressional candidates for you. Last night I introduced you to Igor Berman. He is a great candidate from California. We just had Shane Osborne on, who I think stepped into the biggest booby trap ever. Self-laid booby trap on the program, but, maybe let people to decide. He was just on. He sounded really good, and he said some things about Ben Sasse that we need to get a response from Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse is the guy who now has the FreedomWorks endorsement because they were endorsing Shane. I have never seen FreedomWorks do this before. They came out. I've never seen any organization do this before. They came out and said, we were wrong. We found some new information. And they switched their alliance and their endorsement to Ben Sasse, Midland University president. I'm thinking about not holding that against him. Ben Sasse, welcome to the program.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for having me on and for the charity about not holding my current job against me.
I said I'm thinking about it. I do have some questions. That was the seat that Woodrow Wilson has. What makes me, assure me that you're not going to turn into a I know better than everybody else, kind of Woodrow Wilson progressive, and a guy who doesn't have the experience with the free market system. Help me out.
Amen. It's the right kind of skeptical question our founders would relate to. I'm a college president because I'm at a 130-year-old school that was going bankrupt, and I do turnaround stuff. So my background is actually private sector, and being in my fifth year as college president in my hometown is because this 130-year-old really special school was closing, and we had a crisis that was big enough that we could actually fix some things, and now we put kids first, and we've gone from the brink of bankruptcy to being the fastest-growing college in the Midwest right now. So we
and why is that? What did you do to turn it around? What should be done with our university systems and our educational systems?
Well, first of all, students who are our customers ought to be at the center of the institution, and whether or not they're actually learning is what the school exists to do. We don't exist as a jobs program for whoever's just those among us who've historically been employed there. So when I got to Midland, we had 45 majors and minors, but 84% of our students majored in only about 7 departments. So we had 38 departments that were economically unviable. We had some departments that had more professors than kids. You don't need to be a math major to realize that doesn't work. So we had to end tenure at our school.
Which, of course, is a situation that exists all through the U.S. government. I mean, that kind of inefficiency is probably costing us hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
That's absolutely right. And as importantly as the economic waste is just the cultural rot that happens in an institution where you lose sight of who you exist to serve. Obviously, there are important research functions at a number of large universities, but my school is a teaching college. We're called Midland University because we have some master's level programs. We have an MBA and whatnot. But we're a teaching institution. And so if you're not teaching kids, there's something wrong with the institution.
Where do you stand on Common Core?
I'm totally opposed to Common Core. I read my Constitution, and I don't see any responsibility for the federal government to be raising my kids.
What about the state wanting to do the same thing? And, the state just says, we're just going to do this as a state.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you mean Common Core in general or just education?
Common Core in general and education.
Oh yeah, no, I'm opposed to Common Core because it was defined as if it was going to be a voluntary state-based program. Nebraska's fortunate; we're one of only 9 states that haven't adopted the Common Core, but ultimately, it's going to become a weapon of political correctness for the federal government to force certain standards on local communities that are going to be about political correctness and the agenda of the left.
Okay, your opponent leveled some pretty. Well, first of all, let me start with this. Have you been friends with what's his name, Grover Norquist for a very long time? And do you have an event with Grover Norquist tonight?
No, I don't have any event with Grover Norquist. I didn't get to hear your interview, but I heard there were a whole bunch of crazy charges leveled. I just got a bunch of text messages as I was dialing into your show, and
he said that we asked him about Freedom Works switching their endorsement because he's aligned with McConnell and Karl Rove, and he actually said that you are the Karl Rove aligned.
Yeah,
candidate.
He said he has nothing to do with Karl Rove, has nothing to do with Mitch McConnell. And said that you are actually taking money from DCI, which is Bloomberg's organization. So you're getting money from the godless Bloomberg.
You know, I don't know what all this stuff's about that he says, but the reality is there's one candidate in this race that is the candidate.
I didn't let him get. I didn't let him get away with the. But you know what? This is all about Nebraska bullcrap either. So I'm going to hold you to this. Are you taking money from Bloomberg?
I don't know Mr. Bloomberg. I don't know his entity. I've never met him.
You don't know what DCI is?
There's a firm in D.C. that I know some people who work at. I don't get any official money from DCI now.
Do you get any support from DCI?
There's somebody who works at DCI who's from my hometown who's a campaign contributor to me, yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to understand the accusation. Was it he's saying that the same organization represented Bloomberg, or what Bloomberg owns this organization? Do you have any idea on this one?
I don't know what any of
it seemed like a real boogeyman.
A person who works at DCI has contributed to your campaign, Ben. Is that what you're saying?
I think they have sent out emails.
Okay. All right. We'll just look into it. Okay, so tell me about your relationship with Karl Rove. He says Karl Rove is helping you.
Yeah, there's just no truth to it at all. I mean, I worked for President Bush twice for 2 years each, and Karl obviously worked for the president at that time, and so I know Karl, but he didn't have any connection in any way to my campaign.
And do you think that what Karl Rove is doing currently is good for the Republic or bad for? Is he a good witch or a bad witch?
I think we probably use the word witch too much in American politics. But, I do think right now that there is an important battle going on for the soul of the Republican Party. And one side of the Republican Party believes in a constitutional system of limits where life is lived in the private sector. And another side of the Republican Party is pretty content, like the Democrats are.
And which is
DC get bigger and more
and
powerful.
Which is Karl on?
You know, as you know, Glenn, my wife had a near-death experience when I worked for President Bush. We had a brain aneurysm, and so there are a lot of people that I worked with in the Bush administration, and I just don't spend a lot of time talking about individuals, many of whom have been kind to my family. So I don't spend a lot of time on the interpersonal piece, but at the grand philosophical level, what this battle is about in the country right now is about whether or not we're going to pass along the system of American greatness to our kids. And a lot of the Republicans are a part of the problem.
All right. So tell me about this, because you did have the brain injury. I'm going to give you a pass on that one. I think it's kind of weaselly, but only kind of weaselly. I mean, because you can comment on his organization, and that's not a personal attack. And you decided not to take me up on that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I believe, Glenn, which is that I want to grow the conservative movement. I want more pro-lifers and more Second Amendment and more Tea Partiers and constitutional conservatives and more small business people. I want to grow the movement. I want to win a majority in the Senate. I want quantity. But I also think that quality is at play in this moment. We are not winning the next generation.
Look, I'm not.
Washington. Go ahead.
Here's what I'm trying to get to. I'm not trying to get you to say something bad about a friend, or not a friend, but a guy who was friendly to you and helped you.
Sure.
Maybe he is a friend. I don't know. But there are people that I know that I like. But if I'm in the situation that you're in, I need to be able to say, look, he's a friend. He was nice to me, but he is on the wrong track right now. That's what I'm looking for. And if you can't make the decision on...
I mean, Glenn, I think there's a reason why I'm being targeted in this race by the Republican establishment.
Okay.
And the wrong side is the side that has lobbyists call you up and say, we're going to support the other candidate in the race because we think he would play ball, and we don't think you would play ball. Well, they got that right. The one thing the lobbyist class is absolutely right about is that I would not play ball.
Good for you.
I think that when 6 of the 10 richest counties in America are suburbs of Washington, D.C., that problem is not just because the Democrats are in charge, but because the kinds of Republicans we elect want Washington, D.C. to be in charge.
Okay.
I don't want that, and the founders couldn't relate to that.
Okay, here's the biggest charge that he leveled against you that actually has some sticking power, should it be true. He said when it came to Obamacare, you said that was an important first step.
No, for heaven's sakes, it's total nonsense. I said that healthcare in America is broken, and what we need to do is have a national conversation about how we fix it. And the problem is that we already had too much government, not that we had too little. I did not say that Obamacare was an important first step. I said having a national conversation about what needs to be fixed is, and the way you fix it is in the private sector.
Okay. That's pretty good.
You know, Ben, as I said to him, you're not on hostile territory here. People are frustrated, and people are just looking for people who are just plain spoken. And it's sometimes hard to find your way through the weeds. I will tell you that we've watched both of you guys, and we'll support either one of you guys, whoever wins. But I believe in divine providence, and I believe that people can hear if they listen with more than their ears. If they have eyes and they have ears and they listen through their heart, they will know the promptings of what is right. How is your soul, Ben?
You know, I'm a committed Christian, and I believe I'm a sinner, and Jesus is my hope and redemption. So I feel pretty good about my soul, but not because of me, but because I believe in what Christ has done for me. So it's good.
Okay, Ben, anybody else have anything before we leave?
Well, we should probably
let me give out my website.
Well, of course we have to do that.
Oh, we didn't.
Wait, now that sounded pushy. Hang on just a second. Edit that out of the show. Oh, we're live? Okay, hang on just a second. So I wish there was some way. Pat?
Gosh, Ben, is there any way that anybody who likes what you just heard could support you? Is there like a, I don't know, place on the information superhighway or something?
Well, what a providential question that is. benfornebraska.com, BENFOR Nebraska.com. Folks can hear more. And this afternoon, we're actually going to be announcing, so we'll break a little bit of news with you here, that Governor Sarah Palin and Senator Mike Lee are both coming to Nebraska to campaign with us and to tell the story of American greatness and what we need to do to pass it on to our kids. So we're going to be rolling that out this afternoon as well.
I think that is, well, there's no reason to do that now, but because you just did it.
Just did it. You're on
Ben,
radio.
that's fantastic. And I will tell you this, the one thing that was really quite confusing to me with FreedomWorks is Mike Lee. Mike Lee has a great gut on him and is really one of the most humble, soft-spoken, vicious defenders of the Constitution. And I know, because I've talked to him before, he's like, you know, hey, what do you think about such and such? And he'll be like, I don't know. I haven't spent 14 days with him yet, talking to him about the founders. And he is very thorough. And getting his endorsement means the world, because I know Mike Lee and I know who he is. And to have his endorsement speaks volumes. Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. Good to be with you today.
You bet. Best of luck.
Real quick, as Ben's now gone, we didn't do the stupid bit with Shane Osborne. ShaneOsborne.com.
Yeah, we did.
Website. Did we?
Yeah, we did, because that was where we got no E.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
No E.
Oh, okay, that's right. Because we didn't do the Pat bit though.
No, we just did it in another way. But thank
I think
you
we're a little stunned by the Grover Norquist thing.
Yeah, well, that's why. I was
maybe
just,
we didn't do the ShaneOsborne.com. Maybe
Yeah, we
were
did.
thinking about
So
We
it.
did do it.
Okay.
Yes, but
All right.
bensass.com or benfornebraska.com.
benfornebraska.com.
Since we've already done the
Or ShaneOsborne.com, whichever you prefer to.
or
or
Ben for Nebraska.
That was like a debate. We almost had like a debate on the air for the last hour, except that they were just
Yeah, kind
kind of
of.
separate from each other.
Yeah.
That was fun.